Good morning, friends, and welcome to New Garden Friends Meeting, our digital worship. It is our practice at New Garden Friends Meeting to extend a wide welcome to everyone who joins us for worship. You are welcome here among friends, exactly as you are. You are welcome here at New Garden Friends Meeting. Whether you are joining us this morning on Zoom, or whether you are worshiping through Facebook Live, or whether you are watching the recording of this worship service that will be posted online. Welcome. I am so glad that you are here with us for worship this morning. Friends, I have a reading to share with all of you this morning. The reading is by Jan Richardson. It's entitled Blessing the Dust, and it's a blessing for Ash Wednesday. This past Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, the start of the beginning of the season of Lent, and I want to share this blessing with all of you this morning. Blessing the dust. All those days you felt like dust, like dirt, as if all you had to do was turn your face toward the sun and be scattered to the four corners, or swept away by the smallest breath as insubstantial. Did you not know what the Holy One can do with dust? This is the day we freely say that we are scorched. This is the hour we are marked by what has made it through the burning. This is the moment we ask for the blessing that lives within the ancient ashes, that makes its home inside the soil of this sacred earth. So let us be marked not for sorrow, and let us be marked not for shame. Let us be marked not for false humility or for thinking we are less than we are, but for claiming what God can do within the dust, within the dirt, within the stuff of which the world is made, and the stars that blaze in our bones and the galaxies that spiral inside the smudge that we bear. Quakers do not typically practice Lent. I was raised in a Quaker community, and that community did not acknowledge at all the season of Lent, and certainly did not have any special practices around Ash Wednesday. As a matter of fact, we had no special practices around Easter either. I suspect that many of you here at New Garden Friends Meeting this past Wednesday did not go and get marked with ashes on your forehead at another church community, although perhaps some of you did. Lent is the season leading up to Easter, the 40 days, not including Sundays, leading up to the celebration of Easter. Many Christians throughout the world, if not most Christians, are practicing Lent during this season, and many of them will be practicing by giving things up, things that pull them away from their relationship with the divine. Traditionally, fasting was part of the celebration of Lent, and it is still part of the celebration of Lent for many Christians. But modern Christians, especially in the US, practice this season in many different ways. Within the understanding of Lent, for most Christians, is an opportunity to take seriously the realness of human suffering and the reality that we are all finite beings. The season of Lent is a wilderness time, a time to take seriously all of the places that are rocky, messy, and broken within our lives. Ash Wednesday, this past Wednesday, marks the beginning of this season and involves the marking of ashes, typically on your forehead, but sometimes on your hand. And it's an opportunity to remember our own mortality. This was a very strange Ash Wednesday for me. I think that, like many of you, I am very aware that death is always close by. I am very aware of suffering and sorrow, and that those are inevitable parts of human life. What was especially powerful for me this past Ash Wednesday was the reminder that we hear in the blessing that I shared with all of you earlier, the blessing by Jan Richardson. So let us be marked not for sorrow, and let us be marked not for shame. Let us be marked not for false humility or for thinking that we are less than we are, but for claiming what God can do within the dust. See, I understand feeling like dust. I get that feeling of the closeness of death, that feeling of the heavy weight of the world, that sense of loss and sorrow that is so much part of human life. And I get that now in 2021 in a way that I perhaps did not feel as acutely last Ash Wednesday. And I am so powerfully moved by Jan Richardson's words that remind us that we are connected to the earth, to the cosmos, and to the stars. And also within these words is the reminder of the creation story, how the divine created humans from the dust, from the dirt, and formed us in their own glorious image and called us good. See, this Ash Wednesday, I needed that reminder of goodness, that reminder of our profound connection to the divine, the reminder of how we are beautifully and fabulously part of creation, made from the same stuff that makes the stars. I needed the reminder of the glorious possibility of human life, the possibilities that exist no matter how messy or broken things may seem. The reminder of Ash Wednesday is not just a reminder of death, just as the purpose of Lent is not simply to fast or to give things up. Ash Wednesday is a reminder of how difficult and painful and fleeting human life may be, but also how beloved we are, how beautiful our lives can be, how rich, how whole. It is a reminder that we are God's own beloved, called good from the very moment of our creation. It is this truth that rang in my heart this past Ash Wednesday, that God can do incredible things with dust, with dirt, that we are called forward by the divine into the fullness of human life, into life abundant, that we are incapable of incredible goodness and incredible richness in our lives, no matter how fragile we may feel, no matter how our spirits may falter and sink after a year of quarantine life, no matter how lonely we are, no matter how much we may be grieving or how much sorrow we may be experiencing, no matter what struggles we are facing or how broken we may feel, how small, how insubstantial. In those moments, the Spirit is with us, calling us forward into incredible abundance and goodness of life. The God that I know meets us in those places of sorrow and mess. The God that I know does not inflict sorrow or pain, but instead can help transform us in those moments, growing our capacity for love, growing our ability to connect with others, growing us into full integrity within ourselves. This Lent, I was powerfully reminded of the words that I say at graveside memorial services. It's my practice to pick up a handful of earth and to sprinkle it out at the graveside as I say the words of committal, which include these words: earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This past year, I've said those words through a mask. And with each breath, I was reminded, while breathing through the layers of cotton, of the closeness of death and how real it is. I was reminded of these words because after almost a year of pandemic life, where we have had to give up so many things that bring us comfort and connection, this Lent, I'm going to focus on taking things on and not giving things up. This year, I'm going to focus on affirming my connection to others and my connection to the divine. I'm going to take things on that affirm my own goodness, things that affirm my own sense of wholeness. I want to face the realities of death and suffering and the realness of sorrow. And I want to respond by reaching and reaching again for connection, by turning my face towards love, by seeking again those places where I feel the Spirit in profound and real ways. So for the next 40 days of Lent, I am going to spend time each day affirming my own belovedness. Each day, I am going to work to be more grateful for all that is beautiful and rich in my life. This year for Lent, I want to make more space for silence, but also I want to make more space for laughter. I want to make space to be in nature and to move my body. I want to make space to be creative and make art, and to do that with others as much as possible. I want to make space to do more for my neighbors in big ways and in small ways, to affirm my profound connection even to strangers. It is in these ways that I feel closest to God, and it is in these ways that I also affirm my own goodness and belovedness. Over the last 5 years, I have often been part of an ecumenical group of clergy people who give out ashes or blessings to students over at Guilford College campus on Ash Wednesday. Being a good Quaker, I have my own way of doing ashes and my own rather untraditional way of blessing people on Ash Wednesday. They invited me to be part of their group, so they just have to put up with how I do things. I would typically say something like this as I give ashes to students. With these ashes, may you remember that from the earth you came, and someday, many years from now, to the earth you will return. And for every moment in between, you are loved by God. This is the reminder of Lent for me this year. We are loved by God, and God is at work even in the painful and messy places of life, bringing comfort and bringing the possibility of transformation, even in the midst of human tragedy. Let us move forward this season of Lent, seeking together the ways that the light is breaking in all around us. Let us move forward reminded of our own goodness and our profound connection to one another and to the divine. Let us move forward into Lent, and let us remember that the divine does incredible things with dust.